All right, Bob the Beast Sapp, welcome to the show, man. I didn't know if this was going to happen or when it was going to happen, and finally we got you here in studio.
Yes, well, I'm going to tell you something now, Mike. You've got to say it right. It's Bob the Beast Sapp.
All right. I can't do it that good, man. This is why you're the star. Man. So, man, it's crazy because, like, I've had my UFC career, but, man, back before I got in the UFC, I got in the UFC in 2005. Before the UFC, from 2000 to 2005, there wasn't a bigger star in combat sports than you.
Yeah.
And you were a huge inspiration for the fact of, I'm a businessman, and I'm not in it to just fight and be the best fighter and then just, have a farm somewhere. Right. I want to be successful and have businesses and money and have fighting carry me somewhere, right? So I always look at the entertainment factor and how much you can make and opportunities that you can have. And I remember you were the first fighter to get that $1 million, whatever it was, I know it was $1 million or more, fight. And I was just like, wow, that was like so inspiring to me because I was like, I can actually make some money in the sport, if I could get to even half your level or something, right?
Absolutely.
So what was it like being the superstar back then and being the biggest freaking sensational figure in the athletic world as far as sports combat? I
can tell you, anytime when you start talking about combat entertainment, fighting entertainment, definitely you're going to bring up Bob the Beast because one of the things that I learned, because I learned at WCW. I was once I was a third-round draft pick, went to University of Washington. I was a third-round draft pick for the Chicago Bears. Yeah. And then, I played a position known as ass back, which meant I would go on the field and coach said, Bob, bring your ass back. I want to play. No. So, so I was a bench warmer for sure. However, definitely there was another calling. And that calling was at that time WCW. So I went and tried out at WCW and things were going well. So I learned how that's where the Beast kind of learned. I learned to do promos. I learned how to
entertainment side,
to talk on the spot. I learned the aspect of that, what they call then sports entertainment. And now I learned the sports entertainment, the how to cut promos, how to talk, how to use impromptu, how to be creative. That's an actual class.
Yeah,
so they sat you down and taught me how to do all of those things. My great mentor was Buddy Sarge Dwayne Bruce, and he's this little short guy who's known for dropping everybody on the squats. And yes, he did drop me on the squats. I did probably got stuck at 300, and by then my legs shut down, and I was
happens to me all the time.
I was passing out, and could barely walk, and vomiting everywhere. It was horrible. Okay, so it was a bad scene. But these group of guys really taught me how to do things. Okay, so. Sam Greco was there. Yeah. He taught me how to do things. Tank Abbott was there. Yeah. Taught me how to do things.
Crazy.
And they all of them. It's amazing because something that I think that no too many fans are aware of is just how tightly niched some of the fighters are, or the people who are that you work with. And I mean, they're an extreme tight knit group. I'm going to tell you something. Not too many people know this, but so I had lost all my money in the NFL through bad investments and no taking care of myself financially. I was financially illiterate. I lost all of that cash. Well, you know what? WCW helped me get back on my feet. They gave me 90 days rental car, 90 days hotel to get me back on my feet. And to get all the clothes and all of that stuff, I'm going to let everybody know, Kevin Nash gave me all of his clothes.
Wow.
All of his clothes.
Wow.
He left them off at Lex Luger's spot over there at his gym, right over there.
Crazy.
And I came in there one day and he's like, Bob, here, these are all your clothes, man. You can't keep wearing the same, shorts and pants everywhere. And he gave me a ton of clothes. So I thought that was so awesome. That's how well they got back through. So because I was down and out at that time. So I learned that, and then when WCW went bankrupt, I had one more other fight to do, and that was against William the Refrigerator Perry. They said, we can help you on this one. And that's when I cut the Beast promo. I was really after him. William the Refrigerator Perry is a former football great.
Yeah.
Number 72.
Yeah.
My idol. Yeah. I grew up on William the Refrigerator Perry. I even have his jersey number. That's why I wore 72. Here I am. I had to fight my idol. So I fought his idol. Sam Greco trained me. I fought him. And, I beat him up. I won, And at the end of the rounds, at the end of the match, Lawrence Taylor comes on to the screen and says, Bob, you're going to be a nobody. You're a nobody today, and you're going to be a nobody tomorrow, and you'll always be a nobody. He says that.
Yeah.
Right on television in front of everybody. So obviously, and the crowd starts throwing beer in cups and throwing everything at me.
Yeah.
But I learned.
Yeah.
WCW. I learned how to deal with criticism. I learned how to do all of those things. I learned how to transform that into cash, because they were like, anytime at WCW, they tell you, when you have that emotional tie, that emotional connection with people and they're doing that, that's when you're going to really excel.
Yeah.
So guess what I did? I picked up a cup. They were throwing beer at me. I picked up a cup, held it, took a shower in the beer, did it like that, and drank it. I said, keep throwing some more.
Yeah.
At that time, I kind of knew, okay, good. This is working. And it was working. And guess what?
Yeah.
Now the crowd was yelling with me, and now we were going. I took that same mentality with me when I was recruited by the K1.
Yeah.
They had no idea what they were going to do with me. They actually brought me over there to be a pro wrestler. Nobody wanted me to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Okay. Then they said I was going to be Concho Ishii, who was then the owner of K1, to be his bodyguard. They were like, other than running around with him and going to yakiniku shops and ramen shops, what are you going to do? So that was it. So then they said, well, you're just going to have to fight. Fight? Yeah, you're just going to have to fight and do this stuff. I said, well, I'm here. I'll do anything. Let's go. Yeah. And so the rest obviously is history. So that was then, back then, and I think we're talking about my first debut in Pride was 2002 against Yamamoto, something of this nature. And they played, when the first time I fought, about 7 million Japanese tuned in to watch me. They replayed it at like midnight, 4 days later, 30 million people tuned in to watch.
It's crazy.
And from there, it took on a life of its own. How much of a life of its own? Well, I mean, I was the only fighter to make the cover of Time magazine and the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
K1 went from 300,000 to 300 million in 8 months.
Yeah.
I mean, if we fast forward all the way to 2006, I ended up making a world record when 54 million people would watch me fight. 54 million people. So let's put that in comparison.
You had the record with Akebono, right?
Yes.
That was a viewership. That was like 54 million people, and that's like when you put that into comparison to like
Longest Yard, or no, American Idol.
I mean, like the top shows in America, it shatters like everything. Like,
American Idol
was
finale.
it 20 million or something?
25 million. That's right. American Idol finale.
That's half. That's half. People like to say the global reach. Like these other organizations, they'll say like we have a 2 billion global reach. That's like saying we're available in 2 billion homes, but there's like 1,000 channels. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything.
That's right.
You can still have 1,000 viewers, but you had 54 or whatever, 54
million
people actually watching. That's a lot. That's crazy.
That's right. Watching Bob the Beast Sapp.
I'm going back real fast. Like obviously, like little things like getting those clothes, man. And earning your ranks, and stuff like that. It means so much. Like a little small story. But when I was coming up with Team Shamrock before it was Team AKA, and mind you, I'll get into this in a second. But Frank was the head of our team. Frank Shamrock. He was a superstar in the UFC. And he'd come in and he'd bring his extra clothes he didn't use, and he'd put them in a box for all the young guys to use. And I remember thinking, I'd be like, man, what does he think, we're homeless? We don't need his damn clothes. And then I'd walk by the box and I'd be like, is that a UFC shirt right there? And I like pick that one out, and then I'd like see this one, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty good, and I'd get that one. But I know what it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like it does. You gotta swallow your pride sometime, but everyone needs that help. So I know, and I kind of can relate to that whole shirt thing and the clothes thing. But also those guys that I was with back then in the early days, Frank, Bob Cook, all those guys, they were going to Japan when you were there. So like I got the insight, kind of like what your life was like, that they weren't showing in the media, because your media was a lot focused in Japan. And it was like the things they were saying was incredible. Like, I mean, restaurants being shut down when you would go eat because you couldn't even eat because people would like harass you. So they would have to close restaurants down.
Yes, it was dangerous.
And then when you walk down the street, you had to have, it was like the stuff they were saying was like, this guy in Japan is crazy. He's so famous. And like,
so how this would work would the restaurants would close down because there were so many people wanting to get my attention. They were tapping on the glass. So when you get Now, how many people? Well, roughly 5,000, 10,000 people are surrounding the
They go
restaurant,
fast.
tapping on the glass. Do, 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 do. And then I'd say, Bob, what do you love to drink? I said, I love to drink orange juice. And everybody would say, orange juice. And they all have oranges out there and drinking orange juice and partying and hitting the glass. And it would literally sound like there was an earthquake happening. It was so loud, so shaking. It was actually, it does get a little bit scary, okay, because Japan does have earthquakes. And so next thing you know, you're thinking, man, is the earthquake really going to happen? You know what's going to happen. Now, when I leave, I'd have 6, so they would just put me in like a yarn circle, and 2 people in the front, 2 people in the back, 2 people on the side, total of 6 people. And I would walk in there, and I would just have to stay in that circle. Then everybody could come and take pictures and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was some comedy stuff. I mean,
can imagine.
There was so many. There was one time we were running, and all these people saw me, and they started running. And there was this guy. He's on crutches, and and he's physically challenged. He's walking. And they're like, Bubba Sabu, and everybody's running towards me.
Bubba Sabu.
Yeah, and I'm running, and the guy's like this, and all of a sudden they hit him. They're like, watch out! Oh, hey, hold up! So I move the guys out the way. I push, jump, pull, climb from underneath my rope, and come over there and grab the guy. As soon as I grab the guy like this, I say, sir, you okay? Hold up! And I pull him. He goes, click.
Nice.
He gets me with a photo.
Nice.
I was like, oh, man.
Superstar level there, man.
The dude got me, man. Oh, man, that was hilarious. So,
fans are sneaky.
Yeah, fans are amazing, and I mean, it got to be some unique stuff over there. I would shave I'm a hairy guy, so I'd shave my chest hair before I go out to do my fights or any commercials. The barbers would take that up and they'd sell that for tea. They have Bob Sapp back hair and chest hair tea and all of this stuff. So it got to be really unique.
But you got a sex toy in Japan?
Yes, they made a Bob Sapp sex toy. That's right. No, they're asking if that's me. No, I'm hung like a light switch.
Yeah. So what was it like? So you're coming from the NFL or football, and you had that going. It was a little different, not on the fame level. Obviously, leaving from America, going to fight in Japan. You get to Japan, you become famous. Now that it's came full circle, what was that like for you being that only guy that had that level of fame and your life changed so much? Was it just like super cool to have, because I was in the UFC and got to that little level of fame and that shit changed my life and was cool as fuck. All these little things, a magazine cover or an action figure was so fucking amazing.
Yes.
But for you, I can't even imagine your life changing so much to where you can't even walk around and it's like Michael Jackson almost and Mike Tyson. I was going to say Mike Tyson because he also would shut things down in America when he would go shopping and stuff. But that's crazy status to be in. How was that, dealing with that and your life changing and you becoming this guy like that?
So I'm fortunate because I was taught
a
lot of how to deal with these things, with the morals, the trials and tribulations. Some of them I learned the hard way, like when I first did my NFL, which was a 3rd round draft pick, and then, obviously ended up losing it all. But I kind of learned. So that was learning the hard way. But as far as how to deal with people and how to do interviews, how to conduct yourself, that they start teaching you when you start doing college. There's actually classes. The NFL, there's classes.
It seems like you're such a natural.
For WCW, there's classes. Thanks. So I learned and listened real good, boy. Let me tell you, in that class, when you don't have any money, you really going.
Yeah, you must have.
So that was one of the things that I did. So then I took that with me over to Japan. And I take that with me around the world. I've now roughly been to about 155 different countries now. And so it goes all around, and I'm all around the world seeing people and understanding. And it's just, the thing is that, so one of the main point of learning how to deal with becoming a celebrity is the fact that there's actually 2 worlds. So take about, on the internet, you may sometimes see, and they'll, I read some of the comments on me, and some of the comments are, "Oh, look at how much as he loses, and look at he's losing, and he's a loser, and wow, But they never talk about, well, hey, this guy's 40,000 kids, water kids in Africa.
I heard about that too.
Yeah, he's visiting all the orphanages. He's making time. He's doing. They know what. But see, he lost. But did they ever? Well, the big companies they do follow, but do the fans? Do they follow the fact that he showed up and he lost in 10 seconds and it was that promotion's #1 show ever?
No.
They never think about that. Do you know what that makes that promoter feel, what that makes that country feel to already have broken a record, to have me on there? For them, that's their success. They measure success, right? They measure success in terms of revenue and profit. So when you bring somebody on here and it sells it out, success for them.
Yeah.
Fans are, well, but he lost. He's a loser. You should see what they're going, we hit #1.
Yeah.
What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why it's always been, so that's the reality. So there's two realities. There's the reality of that one to where those fans in particular, now I really no concern about them. I always say I don't care what a person says. I say what people say. I don't care what a person says. I care what people say, which means I go by the masses. I have to go by the masses. So I cannot just say, well, one person's dissatisfied, so therefore I got to change everything up for this one person. No, I have to care what everyone says. And everyone says, Bob Sapp, we want to go and we want to see whatever you're doing. We want to be there and check it out. So that's one of the situations that's occurred. So I've always had to deal with that. And but it's very strange because in my life where I go, pictures and autographs and big companies calling me and stuff like that, and they do understand that I have an understanding and a knowledge base of how to say things that are for the fans here that are talking negative or that are being negative. So if you want to know how I deal with that, so now I'm going to put you guys on just a little tip. All those comments that are negative, sometimes they're written by me or my staff so that we can actually enjoy that kind of, just like the beer, picking it up. So, wait, Bob Sapp sucks. Maybe that could be being produced by me so I can help the people for that do there. So, going down in history, some of these things are me so that I can still engage the conversation and have these guys go through on it. So, we are still coming up, this just not happened yet, but I think we're still doing the yellow belly sapsuckers. So, and that's the Bob Sapp with the yellow belly and he's scared in the sapsucker, So, so we're all talking, so, hey, it's fine. If they want to go that way, they can go that way. But, I just recently, but all the champs and the greats, I just mentioned, how do you say his name? Sanchai? Is that
Sanchai, yeah.
Sanchai.
That's a funny video.
Yeah.
In here in Thailand.
Yeah.
He's one of the, he is, I think, Buakau's up there as well, but I think Sanchai is one of the greatest Muay Thai fighters alive today.
That's right.
That still fights.
Yes.
Even though he's in his 40s.
And
he's so funny, too. He's got a personality. When he was walking in front of you on his Instagram, she was hilarious.
So when he sees that, he says, oh, Bob Sapp, man, I got to do this with you, man. Please let me do this.
And Thailand doesn't know fighters, by the way. So, they still don't. Not that I was a big deal, but, even when I was in the UFC, and I was at the top of the game, and I was getting recognized in Dubai even.
Yes.
And all these major countries would recognize me when I would go do USO tours and all these different appearances and stuff. When I would come to Thailand, because I was always trying to build a gym, nobody ever, this was my peace place. I was just a you know what I'm saying? I never had a career. I wasn't anything. And I liked that, but it's true. But you're different. You are a big enough star.
And he definitely knows who I am.
The biggest stars here know you.
Yes.
Sanchai would know shit about me, even though I have this gym and you know what I mean?
All your championship belts.
All these things.
That's right.
Yeah, I ain't got any championship belts. But you know what I mean? Even with the gym here and the impact that we've had here and all this kind of stuff, you're a big figure, man.
Yes.
And to be a big figure in Thailand and be foreign, I'm just saying from living here, that says a lot. You know what I mean? For a Thai person to come up to me or to even celebrities that I hang out with here that I brought here, aside from Dan, Bill Zarian, and Chuck Liddell, those are the only two guys of all the major celebrities I've walked out with that have been
where everybody stops.
Yeah, and it's mostly been foreigners, but a little bit of Thai, but mostly foreigners. But those were the biggest celebrities.
Thai stopped me
but
all the
for
time.
you,
Yes.
you have that international star power still and everything.
Yes, Thai stop me all the time. Wherever I go, whether it's Thai, Serbia, Africa, they know who I am. They're gonna run and gravitate. And so that's something that's very, very different. So with that one, I always, you always have to take that and say, wow, this is so funny how strange my world is, man. Because it's and there's also the cultures. You know what I mean? America is basically likes to play the culture of. I always say make fun, no hate, but America really likes to do the kind of hate culture, kind of
But to build you up and then tear you down.
Yeah, they love to do that. Yeah,
that's
just what America loves to do. But when you go outside of America, around the world, they keep you here, man. You're great. Look at what you did. Wow, we're just so happy to talk to you. We're ready to go. And I think that also has to do a lot with the fact that wherever I come in, I'm doing everything with them. So in Thailand is. Well, Maggi sauce makes everything taste good. Okay?
Yeah,
Maggi
sauce. If you know, you know.
You can put
Maggi. I put on everything, man.
Yeah, so you put on some rocks and they taste good.
Yeah,
but I do eat their insects here. So they do crickets and grasshoppers and all that stuff.
Cricket once.
Man, I love it.
It's the Chinese that do that though.
But it's with the Maggi sauce.
With the Maggi sauce.
Boy,
I'll eat the crispy insects, but not the grubs, man. I ain't doing that shit.
I've eaten the grubs.
I ain't eating those grubs, dude. If that shit is all running in my mouth, dude, fuck that. I ain't about to do that, man.
I love it. So they're matter of fact, I've had some like kind of barbecue flavored grubs, and man, they're great. I made them in a burrito too.
Am I wrong in saying like the grasshoppers? It's just like French fries,
correct?
The crispy ones. I mean,
yes.
So it's like they're
shrimps.
You just have to think about it.
Yes, you're going to get the French fry taste, or you're going to get your shrimp taste on most of the insects.
But those grubs, man. Hats off to you for that. I ain't eating no fucking grub, dude.
I
ain't that Thai.
Oh man,
I've been here for a long time, but I ain't that Thai. Dude.
Boy,
I'm a few Muay Thai fights short of eating a grub at the Chinese fucking festival. But coming back from your fighting, so you had the fights, you were at the top of the world, and then you had those losses.
Yes.
Am I wrong in saying I don't feel like from watching your career, it's not like you hit an age thing or it's like you hit something. Am I wrong in saying that I feel like you were and are always in control?
Yes.
Of your fighting ability. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes you so dangerous and still so marketable, is because when you come out to fight, you could kill someone at any given time. I mean, right now, you kill me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I say the wrong thing, I'm being damn careful with this interview. But I'm saying, like, so it's like, I feel like you've always been in control of what you do. And at any given time, you can go out there and put on a hell of a fight and have these fights like you had with Nogueira, where I thought you were going to kill him. He's a friend of mine. He's been on the podcast, but like I literally thought he was going to be. I thought he still could die after he won that fight. But like that was a crazy fight, and you've had great fights, incredible fights, and
Ernesto Hoos,
crazy
Banner,
fights, man. And we would go on about it forever, and it's like I feel like you've been in full control of that, and now the only reason I say that is because now I know you are so entertainment based, and you are a smart businessman. I know you obviously, and I know you're entertainment based, and you know the sports entertainment and the best organizations in the world with the purest fighters and fights, and they will still tell you it's an entertainment based sport. Now the fighters who make the money are the ones that have the storylines out there that people get behind.
That's right.
There's great fighters and organizations that don't make anything.
Yes.
And then there's some that are just they're sensational, like the Connors and the Habibs.
Yes.
Not just because they're great fighters, and Connor's not even top 5.
That's right.
But he's got the power, right?
That's right.
He's an it factor. So now we've came back full circle. It seems like after 20 years, we've came back full circle. Now we got Mike Tyson, who you. Started the whole process of bringing him out. I saw on TMZ him saying, giving you credit for him being fat, out of shape, not wanting to fight, to coming back to fight you.
That's right.
So you're the one that started this whole thing, and now all of a sudden we have Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. that happened. Now the Logan guys are fighting.
Yes.
YouTubers.
Yes.
And you're talking about Logan Paul fighting Mayweather.
Yes.
And Jake Paul trying to fight Conor McGregor.
Yes.
And these fights are happening with $50 million backings and proof. It's like things have came back to this huge entertainment side, which is going to rival the most purest of sides.
Yes, and we have to.
And the numbers don't lie with the Tyson and the Roy Jones Jr. and the Logan or the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson. And so first, I want to say, where do you fit in the new? And I know you were part of setting up this new,
all this stuff that you see here going on. That's right.
You were part of setting it up. You got Mike Tyson out of retirement. I saw the video on TMZ. I know for a fact. I mean, it's out of his own mouth.
Yes.
So where do you fit in this now? And what do you think of it? Where do you fit in it? And where are we?
Okay, well, I think that first of all,
you can't not think you're a part of this.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I know you were a part because I heard it from Mike Tyson himself.
Yes,
and now it's happening now.
This kind of this goes back to my old adage of he who laughs last, and everyone will tell you when you do something against Bob, he's. In a business plan, you may think 5 years or 10 years. I'm always thinking in creating everything slowly behind the scenes, steadily. Okay, and so we need to in order to really kind of understand this, for he who laughs best, or laughs beast, we have to go back to MMA Hour with my dear colleague and friend, Ariel Helwani.
Oh, boy.
Who wanted to be this big purist who came out and says, it's about, you're losing these fights. People are just showing up to watch you fight. And, how can you do that? And he was basically this purist wanting to say, and I was like, listen, number one, I made the cover of Time Magazine, the Wall Street Journal. I have 54 million people. That's the world record for people watching a single fight. That's what it is. Now, you can say, well, that's kickboxing and no MMA, but kickboxing is a form of MMA anyways, and it's combat
Well, they compare the fights with even Conor and Mayweather and Mayweather and Pacquiao being the highest there.
Yes.
They relate them to MMA. It's all combat sports.
Exactly.
Same.
So, but 54 million watching is me, and nobody else has had that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've hit the top of this. So why is it that I'm told no matter if somebody gives me $1, I got to come through and get blasted on all the way down as if I'm getting $20 million or $15 million? That's really silly. And so I was like, that's not what I do, but I can sell it out for you. I can give you the sellout, but I'm not going to get damage on that on top of that. So, Ariel had a major disagreement with that. So I think that it's quite funny that now when there is a entertainment-based, non-same rules or regulations for
the main event
boxing.
Wasn't a pro fight.
That's right. It was no.
And you had a video gamer fighting a basketball player.
Yes, sir.
And then you had Ariel Helwani introducing them as if it was like Conor McGregor and Habib when they were weighing in.
Thank you.
So it is a little weird when you have someone so self-righteous in the world of.
But he got that money, so he went on ahead and did his little. But for me, it was MMA prostitution. But then when he does it, all of a sudden he's what? No, he's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
What the bottom line is this?
I see it. I see what you're saying.
About entertainment. Fight. It's combat sports. Combat sports. I'm going to throw out sports. Combat entertainment.
Right.
Combat entertainment, fight entertainment, that is what we are discussing. Now, if it's so, and I've been saying this, and now everyone's getting it, and I'm going to come back, and I'll make sure that you will be on my side. I don't say things verbally, okay?
Yeah.
So that was one reason why I allowed, it was okay for, Mike can come out and say that. But if you notice when they were going on with this whole Mike Tyson stuff, you had Tito Ortiz saying he was going to fight. Some rumors with Vanderlei Silva. Then you had Shannon Briggs and all this stuff. But guess what? The guy who was doing controlling and knew all this stuff was me, and I was.
Yeah.
I don't do that because as a professional, that's not what I do. I make sure that things are getting done, and whether they're doing behind the scenes for everybody, you guys go ahead and enjoy it. I know what's going on. I don't need to show it there. When things get through, then I present it. So do you know a lot of people actually believe that, and I'll have like my Instagram, and they will challenge me to a fight on Instagram. Yeah. I think they actually believe that that's how that works. Like they're going to call, hey, dude, like you suck. I want to beat you up, and I'm going to come and fight you tomorrow. They actually think that that's how that works.
Yeah.
And, and some of these guys that are doing this stuff on this Instagram, so they actually believe. Now, let me tell you something. Some that are going back and forth for this, that's just silly.
Yeah.
Okay? But if you want to do it up, you have to, first of all, wait for all the contracts and everything to be handled. And then you go through and then you have a little bit of fun. Then you can get down and dirty. That's the point.
Yeah.
So I am what's called a prize fighter. So I fight for a prize. So my prize happens to be revenue. So I fight for revenue. So I'm not in there for egotistical reasons or anything else. And based on how much of this combat you're going to see, this entertainment you're going to see, well, that's based on revenue too. So if I get a large sum, so in the cases of like Japan, they pay me a large sum of money. Now, it's no matter if they give me a 2 days notice, which sometimes happened. Like on the last fight, I had less than a week's notice to come in there and fight. I win.
Yeah,
I was out of shape. You could tell I was out of shape.
You won your last 2
days.
fights.
That's right. Every time when it comes to Japan, when they're paying me the proper amount of cash, I'm winning. I mean, it's there. So so it has to fit. It has to fit. But with the entertainment, it has to fit as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one thing that you have to understand. So that most people need to understand. If they want to see a fight, what's going to make your fight better than his?
How much you know about the person, and how much
Right.
you like the person, how much you want to see the person fight.
How much you see him, and then it's also going to be what you're doing to engage people to watch, to look. Now, if you're the type that says
you have to get behind the fighters.
Yeah, if you're like, well, I just beat somebody up and therefore I owe the cash, you're not really going to go. You're still going to be in the fight arena.
Well, fighters win fights all the time in devastating fashion on the undercard, but they don't make all the money.
They don't. That's what I'm coming.
So
that's
there is
exactly
something
what I'm
other than
at.
just fighting.
That's right. So you have to get out there. So you have to get out there and be behind. And do I know how to do it? Absolutely. Yeah. And so, does everybody now know that I know how to do it? Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I've got a tremendous amount of. I'm direct to where large companies and corporations call me and they're saying, "Hey, you know what? We think that it's great that you've lost all these fights and you sold them all out." That's a success in our book, in anybody's book, man. Bob, you win, you make cash, and they're selling out. You lose, they're making cash, and you're selling out. That's a successful individual right there. We have no idea what everybody else wants to engage in their, at that time where Ariel was talking about. Nobody really knew. Now, the sad point is about that, the disappointing thing is that, he should probably be more verbal that, hey, I'm going towards the entertainment and this is what's going on. He should maybe be more verbal on that because what he did and then come to say, so what I said with Bob Sapp was at that time, I'm mature now. I kind of know about revenue and things like this, and I can see he's doing the real good thing here. And then you understand what I'm saying? So because he then came back through and presented something that for what he was saying, he never even stood for. He thought that was all jokes. And then the other part is as he's promoting that one, on my show, he was saying, who cares about all these other smaller organizations around the world? Well, these are the guys that are really working hard and doing all the MMA stuff. Really the hardcore promotions, right? These guys that don't get the recognition from the UFC. And now you're doing this? You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, but I personally feel that I love the entertainment style fighting and combat entertainment. I love it. Okay, and so I'm actually working on different projects to enhance it and make it even more fun style for it. Okay, so that then because so there is a place for it. There is a niche for it. There is something for people to be entertained and enjoy this stuff. You're not supposed to be looking at fights and you can look at fights and cringe and wow, that's entertaining. Getting your emotional into it, that's fun. But you're not supposed to be going into fights and go, oh, wow, this guy's winning, yay. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's some fighters that we've had some fighters in Japan, and they won all their fights, but they would win off of points only, and they just drill it out, and they've gotten fired.
I mean, Star Power's proved everything in this last show with the Tyson thing because, I mean, not only Tyson, if he didn't get overshadowed, which I think he might have.
Absolutely.
That Jake Paul fight versus Nate Robinson, I mean, you're talking about a YouTuber versus a basketball player, and they did 1.3 million buys.
I think it was 1.4.
That's one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year.
That's right.
I mean, so that tells you that, and it was an exhibition main event.
Yes.
I don't know for sure the numbers, so don't quote me on that, but I know they did a lot. And that's an exhibition main event, and then an it factor, a very big, sensational it factor fight between two non-combat experienced athletes fighting each other. That says something.
Yes.
And we're coming back here full circle, and we know that the entertainment is powerful in fighting in all sports. And we know that now the value with Tyson coming out and having that fight and it being a success, the value is there, the money's there, the revenue's there. And now I see Shaquille O'Neal calling you out.
Yes, sir.
For a fight. So now that begs the question, where do you stand in all this? Because we know, and I'm 100% confident from knowing you and whatever, it doesn't matter what happened in the past and your good fights and the ones that you lost, you can fight and you can put it down and you can really hurt people. You're a 320-pound man
with
some
350,
with some serious experience. And now you got Shaquille O'Neal calling you out, which means there's big revenue.
Yes.
Which is the other factor that needs to be there for you.
That's right.
What does this mean? What does it mean with Shaquille calling you out in a big fight and you getting paid? And what are we looking at here?
It's very simple. Okay, so for one, so what it means for as far as Tyson, hey, I'm the one that brought you out of retirement, and I'll put you back in it.
All right, so you'll take Tyson too.
So that's for Tyson. And as far as Shaquille O'Neal, as far as my boy Shaq, SOS, Shaq versus Sapp, well, they say the big man falls. You're a little bit taller than me, aren't you? Bye-bye.
So I guess that's an acceptance to that challenge there.
Yes, I'll definitely take on Shaq.
So you'll still take on Tyson?
Yes, no worries.
Now, when Tyson stormed the ring with you when you fought Chemo,
yes,
I remember that. That was crazy. And I just looked back at that video yesterday.
Yes.
And it's got 32 million views.
Yeah, something like
Not many videos have 32 million views of not a fight,
yes,
but of a man going in a ring and challenging.
Yes.
A challenge.
Yes.
A 32 million view challenge between you and Mike Tyson. And now Tyson's fighting. You obviously will fight.
Yes.
And then you had other videos that's a guy like 100 million.
Yes, that's right.
And crazy.
Sapp versus Ernesto Hus,
Yeah, it's
million.
crazy.
Yes.
It's crazy, the views for that. So you have no problem fighting Tyson or fighting Shaq or fighting whoever.
Okay, so any of these greats that come out, and you're asking where I stand on that, I mean, I believe that many people who watch a lot of companies, everybody else, they do know where I stand, and it's no problem for me to verbalize it. Okay, you've got all these greats that are coming out of here. You've got Lennox Lewis, you've got Evander Holyfield, you've got Mike Tyson, you've got Shaquille O'Neal. You got to put them all in there, being the greats of their time. They're all a bit older. They all want to show that they can highlight with their athletic prowess and their ability. And you have myself that has Asia worldwide presence. Mm-hmm. These guys have the United States worldwide presence, and some of them have some presence internationally, but obviously nowhere near the magnitude that I have it outside of the United States. Knowing all of this stuff, all the companies, everyone else knows it. Now, it goes upon which styles and stuff like that, and I'm going to let you know.
I was going to ask you that. Like, what if these fights happen? Where would you prefer the rule set be?
So, because these are entertainment, fast-paced. First of all, no way is it going to be the same rules that you saw Roy Jones Jr., Mike Tyson on. I promise you that. That's 100%. I don't do that. That's not what I do. Okay, so and they don't really do that either. I think maybe the commissioner or somebody had forced them to. They feel bad on that stuff too. But so you talking about the rules? Well, it's pretty easy. You take any of those guys to do it, and we have to almost make it equal. Okay. In order, we have to make it almost equal. So I need to get you to think, could it happen, be an ooh, wow, and what? Okay? So for Shaq, MMA, bare knuckle. Mike Tyson, bare knuckle or MMA. Evander Holyfield, bare knuckle, MMA. Lennox Lewis can do kickboxing, bare knuckle, or MMA, up to his choice, okay, because he can kind of maneuver around a little bit more. But if you look at any of these boxers, what do I say? I think they should get down and dirty and say, you know what? Gloves are coming off. I'm older. I'm ready to go. This is my last chance. I'm going to be up in here. I'm going to get down and dirty. I'm going to do it for real. Let's go. Boom. Bare knuckle it. You see what I'm saying? I think they should do that one. Or if they want to use their mind and show that they're inquisitive and they can use their mind, hey, I'm ready to do. Shaq knows a little bit of MMA, so so let's get it done. You know what I mean? And let's do it MMA. And you know what? We'll leave it up for the audience to decide. We'll leave it up for the people to decide. They see all they can decide. That's what you do. We give that back. Interesting. To the people. We give that back. That's the entertainment
I'm curious what
side.
the audience would say and stuff. And with a question like that, what they'd want to see.
Yes, and so it would be. It's great. And all of that does is start allowing everyone to start to getting engagement and start doing stuff. Hey, listen, we're locked in our houses with this COVID stuff, guys. Come on, let's talk and engage. Let's have some of that challenging stuff, and then you can come on in there and welcome the criticisms of me is welcome. The hate stuff, well, that's just going to get deleted, and that's no going anywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just foolish. But the criticisms of, hey, man, Bob, you're a little bit big, but your feet, man, a little bit slow. Hey, Shaq, I think you can maneuver this guy and pop him right there, But interesting enough, I don't believe Shaq's got a longer reach than I do.
Yeah.
So I've got an extremely long reach. So he's tall, but I bet you if I put my hands right up to him, I bet you my hands can go exactly over his or right at the top.
That was crazy, man, when I saw him call you out last week. Yeah. I knew it was coming. I knew there was going to be some update with you after this fight with Tyson and Jones, yes. and I knew you had part of it and everything. and then or Tyson in the beginning.
Yes.
And so I knew whatever happens next, you're going to be in the mix somehow because you're going to be a main guy they're going to call out because you're that big figure, you know?
Yes.
And then I saw that, and I'm like, Shaq kill. I'll be damned. He's the one. He's the one that's going to speak up and call you out, and I don't think there'd be a lack of people wanting to watch that.
Right. And any of them engaging in those rules that we're talking about, now you've got something. Now that's combat entertainment. Let's still keep it the combat realm, especially when you're putting those zeros onto it to whatever, right? So the least amount of combat gets you the least amount of zeros. The more zeros in there, then yeah, you got to engage in the combat. That's what you're getting. You're paid in there to do exactly that. So you've got to top it up. And Mike will let you know what's going on for sure. You see what I'm saying? And so same thing with Shaq. He'll let you know what's going on for sure. You know what I mean? Nobody's getting in that ring for a smaller amount of money. You're not going to see that amount of combat. That's what you're paying for, the combat, okay?
Yeah.
So you want to see that combat,
that risk.
Right. You want to see that risk, that factor to whatever, right? Even when anyone's going at war, the budget happens to be quite high. I think we even know that from the United States and how much sometimes they spend on their military.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So they're no putting a few pennies in there and expecting, you know what I mean? So same thing. You want to engage in some high level combat, the more zeros go in there, then it changes. So I think that those styles that we have for sure. And it's in there. Again, it's not like, we're asking for $1 billion or something like that.
Right.
So, but
there's money out.
The money's there, and it's offered, and we're just gonna have to wait and see exactly how this transpires. But always think, sometimes as you see something on television, and you never know whether the beast is actually involved, and he's just saying anything. Yeah. I think maybe now that they've kind of started to learn a little bit, like, wow, Bob was around in that. He engaged in that, yes. So I don't report on Instagrams and Facebooks and stuff.
I mean, it's all about the views and the followers and all that stuff now with these guys. And when you look at YouTube and you look at your history and the viewership you've had and still get on YouTube and your videos and stuff, you can't not be involved. I mean, like you know what I mean? Where they're going now, if they're going to continue with this, which it's like a sequel to a movie. If the movie does $1 billion, there's going to be a fucking sequel.
Yes.
Why would they not continue doing this with the success of that show? How do they leave you out?
That's right.
How do they leave out one of the most sensational people who's down to fight still?
Yes.
And who is in shape and can get in there and fight big guys, especially like Shaq and stuff like that. Like, how can they leave you out? So it's only inevitable of what's going to happen. Who it's going to be and when it's going to be, in my opinion.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Now, and if they all want to get and so we cannot say anything about age because we're all roughly in the same age group. Okay, so that's also there. So you know what I mean. So you're getting people that have the experience, the notoriety, all within the same age group, and there's only a few of them, and all of us can get down and dirty. Matter of fact, maybe we should do a Grand Prix with it. How about that? That would be something nice, right? Hey, you guys all go in there and do a MMA Grand Prix or bare knuckle Grand Prix and have everybody, basically pick that out there with maybe a spinning wheel to let it get done. And have somebody host that. That would be that would really rock. When you get something like this and you bring them together, that's the entertainment value. That's the stuff that people want to see, engage in, and stuff like that. I learned a lot of this creativity stuff from Japan. Japan is very creative when they do all their shows and their reality shows and their commercials. And, of course, when it comes down to the fights, they're doing very well because they really walk you through a storyline. When you talk about the Pauls, you can actually see the storyline that they're doing, that they're creating there, okay? And there's multiple storylines going on, but you can all see them. And all of them basically are the Rocky storyline.
Yeah.
Wow.
The biggest upset in history of combat sports if Logan beats Mayweather.
That's right. You get to see, and wow, I mean, they're just resting on some serious hope.
What do you think?
It's something that they would like to do.
What do you think about that fight with Logan Paul and Mayweather? How good do you think it's going to do? And what do you think about this new pay structure of them selling the pay-per-views by pre-selling them at a cheaper price to try to get the revenue up front? And the price going up over time until the fight happens. Okay. What are your thoughts on those three things?
I think that's great, and thank you for that's of course who designed that kind of pay structure? So some of that, so I can Well, let's usually I can tell you how this pay structure usually goes to engage and have a wonderful time with this. Okay, so you first start to pre-sell those tickets like they're doing. And as those tickets are pre-sold, it's like get it now, it's going to be $5. If you wait 2 months later, it's going to be $7. But as it goes up for the price of $7, then you're usually offered some exclusive merchandise to go along with it. And that being at the very last is usually a cruise ship, to go on a cruise with us after the show, to you know what I mean, put your name is entered into a lottery for a car, or for your name is entered into a lottery for exclusive photos with me and everybody else to eat for the later. So the closer you get to that,
they'll keep trying to upsell those.
That's right. So
packages.
the closer you get to basically, so let's say at the very end it's going to be $100 for doing it. But at that $100, what's that get you? That gets you all this kind of great stuff, or exclusive content for this great stuff, then that you never got at that $4.99. But if you do want that, then you want to come over here and get enter into just exclusive price deal, so that those that wait, they still are waiting and they're able to gain something. If you don't do it like that, then obviously people start saying, well, I'm just going to wait for it to be copyrighted. Somebody takes their cell phone, they're going to put it on Facebook or YouTube, and I'm going to do that. Right. That's usually with a lot of the negative commenters do it. They do that one. So yeah, so you want to work that on the level of making revenue. So again, you're going to start off with $4.99. And then you're going to bring it up every 2 or 3 months, $7.99, and then but that $7.99 you're going to offer, a T-shirt. Then when you're going to bring it up to the $10.99, you're going to offer a T-shirt and cap, signed T-shirt and cap. Then but by the time it gets down to the end, oh shoot! Now you're going to be on a cruise with us for 1 week around the world. You're going to be entered into a lottery for in the cruise with us 1 week around the world. Sit back and ask us any questions and do any content stuff you want. So those that want to pay that extra price, they also know what's coming, and they know what they're going to get for doing that extra price.
Gotcha.
That's going to work. That pay structure works, just like using the YouTubers and all that works, and you can see me laughing and smiling and all that stuff because I'm definitely have I designed something like this? Absolutely. Has this been vocalized for these other individuals to use it? As far as what I think we kind of seen that I'm involved in things like this for different pay structures and stuff like that. So absolutely. So when I start hearing these things going out, and I'm really, wow, how did you met? And just like sometimes like in terms of Ariel, maybe he should be investigating exactly how how he can kind of. That's why open your mouth up too much before you realize how much you can kind of get caught up into this mix of this. So I believe that
I have no doubt that he'll be involved in the Logan Mayweather fight.
I think it's great, but I think he does it.
You're not critiquing what he's doing. You're critiquing the fact that he went the self-righteous route first.
That's right.
And now he's doing it.
That's right.
When he should have just owned the fact that he's in it for as a business and for money and for entertainment like everyone else.
Okay, exactly. So
he should have just said, "I'll do whatever is reasonable." To
just because he's making it look. First, so let's go back to that. Back to that time, he was attacking me like I was a criminal or something like that.
Well, a lot of times too, he's doing that for profit. I mean,
right?
Because that's a headline. So he sold himself. Well,
as this purist, he was this. He wanted to be this.
But it's a headline to sell you out and to say bad things about you because the headline is Bob Sapp, blah blah blah.
Bob's taking dives.
So he's making money off of doing that.
And now you start to find he's no taking dives. He's actually being smart about it and all of these things. That's what you start to kind of get this understanding. That's what I want him to really come through and say. Listen. So therefore, now you understand. Look at you. You were this purist, and now you're promoting all these entertainment fights that have nothing to do with these great UFC combat warriors that we know of. You see what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with that. This has strictly to do with only entertainment, and you're selling it as if it's the same package. Well, I thought I do the same thing. You told me I was wrong for doing that. Why is it okay for you, and then when I do it now, that's so. I think now that everybody kind of realizes that stuff. I think now they're kind of obviously. By the success and all of this stuff, they're on more of my side. And I managed to pull Ariel Helwani, which happened to be the big purist that would never sell himself out. He ended up selling himself out. So now he's over here. So I'm saying, you're welcome over here. This is great stuff. But you have to understand, this is what I've been talking about. So let's talk about how I won. That's how I set up my retirement structure. So my retirement structure at that time was to go through and to make sure that the cash had to fit the amount of damage that I was getting. If there was a smaller amount of cash, I would have to do more events so I could take less damage so I could fulfill the obligation for more events. Everybody knows that was $40,000 a fight. So that's, for me, that was to do all of those things that I was doing in my life, that lifestyle, to fit that one, that was a very small amount of revenue for me. So I had to do 3 or 4 of those fights a week. In order to do that, I could have no damage, and I had to be able to fly on the flights and train and bring my trainer and fly around to whatever. That set me up for having a retirement afterwards. So I had no damage, and so I was successful in doing that because I was able to retrieve revenue for doing that. Okay, what are these younger guys doing now? Are they doing the same stuff? No, they're not doing the same stuff. What you're seeing is a new form of pay structure. This is something that I was unaware of, nor could I have done it because I was contracted with K1. But this is the new pay structure. You get these guys that are coming all the way to the top, 10-1, 10-0, 13-0. They're the champions. They're saying, I'm retired. Why are they doing that?
Yeah, they retire multiple times.
Why do they do that? Well, when you retire, then somebody else comes over and goes here. Mm-hmm. So now he's getting no damage. Everybody thinks he's this great champion. He's never aged or all that stuff. So, we know all of these myths that go on, but everyone will still believe that he's this great champion, the greatest that ever was, the greatest of all time, which, but other than goats, I love goat cheese pizza. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that in Uganda they have pet goats instead of dogs. I think that stuff's good. That's about as far as I go with the greatest of all time stuff. Okay, yeah. I don't really get involved in that stuff because I think that's really ridiculous.
It's like a time.
Exactly.
It's a time-based ranking, and it's very opinionated to the person.
Right. So,
everyone's different.
But we'll let them have that. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, okay, that's great. But so when you get these guys, young guys that are the champions, that have 13-1, that are the champions, and they retire. So they're waiting for this other guy to be in that same book, go all the way up, be 13-1, and then he's a champion. Then he comes out and says, I'll come out of retirement and I will challenge you. And that money will be more than the amount of money that he would have done by defending that title. Yeah. That's what they're doing now. Okay, so for all of the purists, now we've already seen they've even fallen to the reality in the money stick with Ariel. All of the purists now, they would hate that situation. Wow, and obviously I was unable to do that because I was contracted for K1, and then when I was no longer contracted, then it fell down. And I'm not going to be the king of heavyweight in Serbia. You know what I mean? Those programs are designed to come in there for a little bit and then they're gone. So, and I do it all around the world. So that I was unable to do that. But so my pay structure was, okay, I had to come in there, get a little damage. Okay, see you later. Boom. I was in Hungary and Austria, and they were advertising both of my fights on billboards as I was doing the fight. And I was just like, so they already knew they could advertise it that I would have no damage in order to do the next one. In Australia, the same one. If anyone know that, they'd see that I was around the world on billboards and television going all around there. Well, why would they do that if they knew that if they thought I would get injured and I would not show up? You see what I'm saying? I mean, so I definitely had to. So I still fulfilled my contractual obligations and have done very well. And the same things, those promotions have done very well for what they were intended to do. Right. This new retirement structure that's going on, that's very well. These guys are not going to get that damage. They're doing that 13-1, 14-1. Hey, I'm retired. I'll wait. That's why you get these guys doing these multiple retirements. That's why you see it. Okay. So now you understand why it's that way. So they're just sitting here and waiting for all the YouTubers and everybody, or the keyboard warriors. Look how great he is. So the guy's, okay, cool. I'm going to relax. Oh, yeah, he's the greatest that ever was. Yeah, he can get him talking. And he's going to relax, deal with his family, don't get any damage on his body, learn to be financial literate so that then he's making the proper investments and stuff. Because a lot of fighters, they just come through and go, oh, well, first thing I'm going to do is just get a gym, and everybody's going to come over here, and they're going to make all this money because I'm going to teach them a gym. No, every pro fighter in the world is going to be able to get a gym, man. You know what I mean? And
even with the gym, it ain't an easy business.
Correct.
It's widely known you don't make money from gyms unless you have a big gym or some kind of business around it. So yes. I mean, it's not the best end game.
Right. But that's all they.
But I understand what you're saying.
That's all the things that's been programmed into their minds to do. But this way, these other champions, they're able to say, no, I can get an internship, I can learn, I can do this stuff. I'm retired and I can relax here, just do some basic fitness. this, do my basic training, get this done. And as this other guy's going all the way up here to the top, then he can say, I'm going to get out. Hey, I'm coming out of retirement. And then come through and engage and fight and come back. Boom. He can make more money doing that on that one fight by having another champion and retire, having another champion come through, than defending his title continuously and getting all the damage on his body.
Yeah.
And that's what you're seeing now. And that's why you got these young guys retiring really early and coming back through. Because you got to look at it, you're like, man, how's this guy retiring with 20 fights and all of that stuff? You know, and you're like, you know, the biggest joke of MMA, Bob Sapp, has way more than that. You know what I mean? So how is that possible? So that's why you get to see that stuff. So, you know, so you have to understand. So they are wanting to make they have found out another scheme on how to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that they can kind of stop that from happening or whatever like that. I don't know if they will be able to do that, and I urge that they don't do that. I think that's great that they're able to, you know, maybe get to 14 and then stop, get another guy that's two 14-year-old guys will fight, two 15-year-old guys fight, then boom, somebody goes back out, and, you know, and of course they do it for mega dollars on that. And I think it's worth it because you know, you're saving your body. You're saving, you know, it's I think it's one of the safest structures to do. But is it something that like an organization like a UFC would like people doing? No, absolutely no. Right? They want that defending that belt and you know, and Ariel Helwani wants to be able to criticize and talk about, you know, see, you know, you're no longer doing that, so that means I'm just as good as you are right now. What? Huh? No, that's not what it means. That just means that right now I'm no longer doing it. That's what it means. There's no, you know,
and you know, I can understand the route you went and how you did it and why you did it and the effects of it, because where you're at now, it doesn't change anything. I think there's fighters that aren't going to go that route, the same as you, and there's organizations that aren't going to do it or allow it or whatever the case, depending on multitude of things. But I think there's a lot of things that fighters nowadays can take from you on the entertainment sense of fighters get wrapped up in the fight. You have to be a good fighter, but you also have to entertain and be an entertainer. And I think there is notes to be taken from that. And that's why there's a lot of great fighters that aren't making a lot of money and they're not big stars. And there's a lot of big stars that aren't great fighters. They go out there and fight, but they don't, you know.
That's right.
You know, they make the you know, whatever. And so it's like, there's definitely something to be taken from that. And I think this is going to be interesting to see what happens now that we've came full circle.
It absolutely is.
Because we're going to see how big entertainment is.
Yes.
In fighting.
We've seen it.
And we just saw it. We just saw it this last time. But
over and over and over, we've seen the numbers with whether it's two YouTubers fighting, getting over 4 million pay-per-view buys, whether it's you know, two YouTubers fighting and getting up to 1.4 million pay-per-view buys. You're getting all of these numbers. You're saying, wow, this is really going on. Now notice listen to what we're saying. YouTubers. I'm not telling you UFC stuff. I'm not saying Ryzen, KSW, Bellator. Yeah. We're not even talking fight. We're talking people from another platform coming in and making more money than people who are already on that platform.
All right, guys, I hope you're enjoying the podcast, but I have to thank our sponsors, which I'll do really fast. Our first being Manscaped, the official trimmer of the UFC, and now the official trimmer of the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast, and yours truly. Precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. If you're looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers this holiday season, look no further because our sponsors, Manscaped, has the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the only brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news, they are now in Europe, Australia, and Canada. So you can buy them in all these countries. For all you viewers all around the world, you can get them at manscaped.com, manscaped.com. Use code QUICK. You get 20% off, free shipping, including Europe, Canada, and Australia. Guys, code QUICK. It lets them know you support the podcast. They're like, wow, all these orders are coming from the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast, code QUICK. And then that supports us. Get you 20% off free shipping. It's a win-win for everyone. As always, this podcast is brought to you by AK Thailand, the world's premier luxury training resort here in Phuket, Thailand. And you can go to akthailand.com right now and save 30% all group training packages for a week, for a month, for 3 months, 6 months, a year with no expiration date. So you can book now and you can use in 2021, 2022. You can actually use now if you get a 3-month membership, because we can get you a special visa. If you go through a quarantine, you can actually start processing and come right now. The borders are open for this special visa. So akthailand.com, all the information, save 30%. Come now or come after, whenever you want. And if you have any questions, go to info@akthailand.com and we'll answer your questions immediately. Thanks, guys. And if you don't know about AK Thailand, you haven't seen the video, you haven't seen the gym, here's a commercial.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, AKA Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
How do you think Logan and Mayweather is going to do on the buy?
Fantastic.
Even though Logan lost to a YouTuber in boxing,
Yes.
and now he's fighting the greatest boxer of all time.
I believe it. Yes, because
What do you think? How do you think the end result's still going to be? Not the results of the fight, but
Yes.
just the end result of the pay-per-view and the revenue.
I think
and
you're
stuff.
going to see another record,
Think so, huh?
record shattering. Absolutely. I don't believe anybody's, because again, you're talking about a small amount of individuals. When you start, you're starting to see them converting. And so look, the feather in the cap, the he who laughs last best is I got to go back to it. That their namesake, their voice was Ariel. That was his point of getting on the show, of the purist, and I'm this and this and this. Hey, we've got him on. He's on our side. That's like taking one of the, if you want to talk politics, that's like having somebody that was really high Republican. All of a sudden, he's, hey, I'm on the Democrat side. This is we got him. He's on our side now, guys. You know what I mean? He's about making that money and doing that entertainment. So who's your purist guy? Who is it? Because they don't have a voice anymore. So who's it? So now everybody's went down. So now with nobody even having a voice that's being able to do that, where are they going to go? It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
He called me out. They did all this stuff, and man, you got the whole gambit. The whole thing was done in, it was done, rather scientifically. Wow, who could imagine that one? So, it does take it does take some time and read and understand. One of my favorite books is Art of War, and just to sit back and read it and just say, okay, hey, you think you win that one? Watch, I can be real quiet and come right back and get you. So
And the thing is, I'm not trying to bash the MMA media here. Obviously, I had Dan on the podcast, and he did enough of that for all of us. I'm not trying to bash the MMA media here, but I will say this: there has been a lot of MMA media journalists who have made a lot of money and headlines off fighters complaining about not getting paid from organizations.
Yes.
Now, mind you, let's look at this from a surgical aspect here. You're talking about journalists and MMA sites that are putting headlines out, getting millions of views, making tons of money from content and a story from a fighter, and giving none of that money to the fighter.
Yes, sir.
Because this fighter is getting taken advantage of an organization that's paying the fighter exactly what the fighter signed a contract for. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's always the media is kind of the hero, and the fighters, or I'm sorry, the organizations are not. But the organizations aren't forcing people to sign contracts. They're not putting guns to their head. Dana's not putting guns. And I'm not defending the organizations. Everybody, we all should have, or maybe wanted to make more money. It's entertainment and all that. But if I sign a contract now that I'm in business, I know if I sign a contract, I'm in a fucking contract.
Yes, sir.
And the UFC puts those contracts out because they're banking on that fighter during the process of that contract to become bigger than what they're paying.
That's right.
And that's the risk they're taking by paying the money that they're paying so that they can maybe make a little bit more before they have to renegotiate. And then the fighters get big, and the first two fights win big fights, and they become celebrities over the media. Mm-hmm. and then they want more money and change their contract. And then they talk bad about the UFC, they talk bad about Dana, and then where does that put them on the negotiations for the second contract? Right. When you could have just fought your contract out and then possibly had a negotiated a new contract with leverage. But the media will sit there. I mean, going beyond that, the UFC and other organizations, they pay what you signed and shook hands on and agreed to, if not more. I can sit here and say, with facts to prove it if I had to, if you look at the contracted amount of money that I was promised by the UFC in my entire career, I've made more. Mm-hmm. And not only have I made more, but I've built a career for myself after UFC. Right. People know who I am, and that's right. The marketing, so it's like I can't complain about the situation. And when I signed a contract, I live by it. But I'll tell you what, the media and the journalists have never paid me a penny.
That's right.
No matter how many headlines I've given them, no matter how many times I gave them that secret nudge of who I'm fighting,
facts.
They
taking the time out of your hardcore training schedule, taking time from your family, taking all of that time, and got there.
Doing an hour interview with them.
That's right.
Making a headline, doing millions of views. And the thing is, and I get like, okay, if the fighter wants to bitch about this and they want to do this and it's going to be headlines, you're media, that's your job. Do the fucking story and come on the podcast, and I understand. But when the journalists get behind the fighter and they start talking shit too, and they're like, yeah, you're getting taken advantage of, and they sensationalize it, and they put the headline in this certain way that makes the organization look so bad that has the contract or whatever. Then to me, it's kind of like, shut the fuck up. Like, how much have you given the fighter?
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? All of you guys are in business because the fighters are giving you stuff.
Yes.
And I've never been paid by the media. I've never been paid for an article. I've never been paid for a headline. I've never been paid for a video. And I understand that's the way it works, but don't take sides. And you know what I mean? And so it's like, so the fighters don't think about that. They don't think about that. And
my thing is...
So I'm not trying to bag on the media, which I am, but it's just the facts. I mean, it's just the facts. Ask any fighter if they've been paid by the media. Ask any fighter.
The majority of them, they're not...
When they've had huge headlines...
I have been paid by the media on some...
I get it, in certain aspects, right? So, like, for instance, when Ariel went to do the Conor McGregor interview and Ireland, I'm sure he got paid for that. There's certain things that they've gotten paid for. But I'm just saying, they never... And I'll tell you another thing. Not to keep bashing, but now I'm on a roll here. They don't cover. So yeah, they'll say, oh, but we make the fighter more famous because we put him out there. But no, that's not the case.
Right.
If you were trying to make the fighter more famous, they would have covered you in Africa.
That's right.
When you were doing charity work.
That's right.
They would have covered me after I got all the headlines that I gave them. They would have covered me doing all those military support tours.
Yes.
I was in Afghanistan multiple times, Iraq during the war, supporting the troops, Djibouti, Germany, at the medical center in Germany, putting people in the C-17 or C-17s to transport them to Walter Reed. I was going to Walter Reed and visiting the wounded warriors and doing all that. No articles. No articles.
That's right.
They never come back to help you back.
That's right. Zero.
So I mean,
or they want to
if
do
you want to look at that's something that irks me and bothers me, because it's like the fighters don't realize that and they pour their souls out. And I get, I'm part of the media too with the podcast. I understand. There's going to be headlines. There's going to be money to be made, and there's going to be stories.
Yes.
But the journalists that I've seen, the hypocritical journalists that I see that do these certain headlines and get behind the fighters and try to make certain organizations and people, like whatever, look so bad, should shut the fuck up.
That's right.
They should shut their fucking mouth to do the article and let the fighter talk or let the person talk. And then if they want to show appreciation back to that person, do an article that's nice.
That's right.
Fucking show what they've done.
That's
do an
right.
article about the UFC and these other organizations and even the Tyson or whatever, how going through the COVID.
Yes.
And working their asses off to keep these fighters working and making money. Do an article about that.
Yeah.
Where are those articles at? Do an article about the fighters having to fight under the extreme conditions that they're having to fight under with quarantine right now, and leave with their families and travel to Fight Island and be there for weeks at a time. Where's those articles?
Zero.
There's no articles. But if one of them fucks up and does something stupid or gets in trouble or has a dispute against somebody or there's controversy, headlines.
Yeah,
headlines.
That's right.
And that bothers me.
One of the things that really bothers me is
fighters don't see it.
Fighters don't see it. And so this is one of the things that I have been steady working on to show people that fighters so I also do fighters and professional athletes and celebrities, all so that they can understand and how to keep going and how they can determine themselves and do things and to get it done the proper way for the way that you feel that's getting done. You're an example because you have your own, now you're broadcasting your own media, you're able to do the own voice of, so how do some of these fighters, remember fighters, I was fortunate in college because I've had the classes on how to do an interview and how to do things and all of that stuff. And in my college degrees, I have multiple college degrees that have learned and traveled and all of that stuff. So those things are what that has enabled me to have a life outside of just whether it's football or the movies, outside of that stuff. It's so I think that one thing that needs to be done is kind of somebody to say, listen, hey guys, you have this media here, and I agree with you, because sometimes what I don't like about the fighters, they like when that Mike Tyson stuff was going on, so many fighters, I'm going to fight Tyson, I'm going to do this, and they were announcing this on their Instagram and Twitters and YouTube, and then people were picking that up, they were acting like that, and I knew it was no news, I knew it was garbage, You know what I mean? And how come I'm not doing that? Because I don't have any contract and paperwork signed on the stuff. So why am I going to spend my time doing that? I need to spend my time.
Well, the person making the money is going to be the media.
Right. So
you're not going to make the money.
Right. So I don't do that. You see what I'm saying? I don't do that. So unless it was on my home platform and my own media-based thing, then I can go ahead and do. Then I'm going to do that towards. But that's the thing. That's what I'm getting at is that these fighters need to. These fighters in this case, this example, we're talking about fighters, but these fighters, professional athletes, and all of them. But let's talk about the fighters that we're talking about right now, so that because we're on Swick podcast. But for these fighters, what they have to do is they need to get an understanding to, you know what, I am my own business.
100%.
In a business.
Think about every aspect of
that's
that.
That's right. I have made a business merger, business relationship with this Ryzen, with UFC to whatever. Now, along with that, I'm getting some revenue from this. Somebody can come along tomorrow and get $5 million more than what I've got, but yet I have to learn how to that's your financial class. I have to learn how to turn the money that I have into to have something, to get something. Then it's going to work. What it is, but they get so snowed in to, I just need a lot of money. Well, what do you need a lot of money for? Well, I just need it. I'm going to tell you some stories. We were, I can tell a lot of them, but we was in Japan, and I sat down with a fighter who was an up-and-coming fighter, and he was knocking everybody out. And at that time, he had $5,000 contract. He said, Bob, I'd like you to negotiate my new contract. My contract's up. Can you help me to negotiate it? I said, yes, I can help you to negotiate it. I just told him several things of just saying, you know what, every time they speak with you, you have to think about what you can do to increase to make it better. And if you can do something better than that, then keep proceeding in going up in your contract. So he said, well, what do you think my ending point should be? I said, there's no really ending point, but I said, for you right now, you're at 5,000. I think you should be going from 5,000. Now you're knocking everybody out in the first round. You're doing so great. I think you can get up to 130,000. So he's like, 130,000? Wow, I never had 130,000. Oh gosh, it's so funny. He said, I never had 130,000. So I was like, okay, but it's okay. You can do that. I promise you. I know I showed him about how it's broken down by people looking at it and what these T-shirts are selling for and all this stuff. In Japan, they don't have the pay-per-views. So at least at that time, they never had the pay-per-views. So it was all about the viewerships and the commercials and the sponsors and things like that. So I was showing him all this stuff.
They were on TV.
Yeah, they were on TV. So they have like television contracts.
Right.
So he turns around, and he comes down to sitting. So he's sitting at the table. And his buddy's sitting there, and another manager sitting at the table. I still know him. And so, I think I said his manager's name, which is cool. So Steve. So Steve is sitting there, and the fighter's sitting here. And Kevin's sitting here. And I'm just right here, and I'm just being quiet because he wants me in the room. But I'm just going to be quiet, you know. And so he's like, okay. So you're 5,000. We're going to offer you $25,000 a fight. He's like, no. And I can see him, and I'm like, good job. He's like, no, you don't need to do $25,000 a fight because you can use my likeness and image in video games, and you got these video games here, and I can also and I'm willing to do a little punch-off video game against the kids and have the kids come through and punch the gloves and then knock me down and all that stuff. And so, you can do that? Yeah, I can do that. Oh, okay. So he said, so therefore I need more. So he's like, okay. And so he goes up to 50. Okay. And so then they're like, then you can see him, he's moved. It's like, next one, so we offer you $50,000, Japanese. So the fighter sits there and he's like, okay, $50,000. Well, 50. I'm thinking, I'm going, man, this dude's gonna crack already. He's, well, 50. Well, I'm at 5. He's like, yeah, that's 10,000. That's 10 times more than you make right now. And he's, oh well, and so then Steve grabs him. Steve's like, hey, you need to go to the bathroom. You gonna be all right? You know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. So he's like, okay. He's like, so do you want to take the 50? He's like, no, because I can do some commercials and I can still knock him out. And if I knock him out in the first round, then I have a lot. So yeah, I can more. So then the Japanese are, okay, so that's good. So they can see him busting, right? So he's like, well, so then we will just do. I think we go through and okay. $75,000. We're going to give you $75,000. Very nice one for you. You're going to like it so much, And he do just like this. 75. Okay, so he put his hand down that quick.
He was done.
And Steve was like, "What the heck are you doing?" I mean, he was done. Okay, yeah. So he never. And I was just like, well, it's his life. It's fine. And so, this is a true story. So he goes back to him. He's like, well, I'm like, hey, man. I said, congratulations. You got that stuff. Yeah, man, shoot. So I've never had that. Now, up until this time, he was a very hardworking individual, very hardcore athlete, all of that good stuff. Then he's like, shoot, I got that $75,000 to fight. And Steve and I are looking at it. I said, here comes the circle. So the circle means went from nothing, got money, you're getting ready to come back down to zero. That's what every athlete and pro athletes they're aware of it. We take conferences on it. The NFL teaches you it. The NBA teaches you it. Fighting, they don't teach you, so nobody knows.
Big organizations. The UFC does a fight week, and they teach you the same thing.
Okay, so this is the circle.
Protect your money.
Yep, this is the circle. So you went from nothing, you got it, and now you're getting ready to come back down. And I told him, I said, here it goes. I said, Steve, you're getting ready to hit the circle. And as soon as he walked out, he said, shoot. I got that $75,000. And I've only got one woman, so shoot, that's not going to happen last. I got to get rid of these clothes. I got to get me more women. Shoot, I got to have me about 6 women. I got to tell my woman to get ready to cut. And he's telling us this stuff. I got to tell my woman to get ready. She got to cut. She got to get. Shoot, I'm ready to go now, and I'm ready. And it seems like what? And and he's like, man, I'm ready to do that stuff, man. $75,000. I got to give me okay, yo, hey. Trainer, okay, I got you. You got your Escalade, man. Yeah, you got that. Yeah, you got that. And he's up doing all of that stuff. He done already had his spin. Now, we fast forward a little bit, which is why we're going to leave his name out. He's got 10 kids. He's making $2,000 now. He's on little exhibition fights. He's not done anything. He's not taken any money class. He's not done any of that stuff. And I told him, you need to take a money class. You need to take a financial class. You need to know how to do all of that stuff. So, look, I'm very, very vocal about this stuff. Okay, no bling bling, no tattoos. This came from Goodwill. Okay, so I get my stuff from pawn shops, Goodwill. Except for if they had my underwear, I'd probably get underwear in Goodwill too. But they don't have big underwear in Goodwill, so I don't do that one. But other than that, hey, this is all secondhand, used stuff right here. Or I get it from when I do the commercials and stuff. So I'm not buying all of that kind of stuff. Okay, I don't do that stuff. So I just allow that. Why do I need to? I already have all of the imagery and people looking at me that needs to go with that stuff. So that's when athletes know. By the way, there's also a guy, when he was paid, we'd get paid sometimes in cash. He got so much cash, he just put it, because it was like he was meant to, at $5,000, he was saving it, taking care of his family. Yeah. When it went to $75,000, he was no saving. He was putting it here. He was walking around drunk, and there was $100 bills from where he entered the lobby, went to the bar, and back to his hotel room. And the staff was like, and there was a big pile of money right outside his door, and they knocked on it. "Simasen, daijoubu desu ka? Are you okay?" She said, "Are you okay?" Passed out drunk, left all his money running there. That's how so frivolous they are with their cash. Yeah. They just throw it around. This is I mean, it's ridiculous. So that comes with them wanting more money, and that's when you start seeing this. I want more money. I want it. Because they don't know what you gonna do with it. You don't even know what you're doing with the stuff now. You have no plan. You have no, you have to have a plan. So all that stuff, I actually have a plan. I do that stuff. So, I know, like for me, I got to keep it very simple. So I don't do credit cards. Nope.
Yeah, I know.
Zero credit cards. Yep. I'm
completely debt free and all that.
Yep. Completely debt free and no credit cards. Live on my own and live on less than 2% of what you got. It's pretty basic, and you're okay. But if you want, and that's going to enable you to go through, and you can use the whole world for what you'd like to be able to pick and choose. So like where we say now in East Asia, the housing is nowhere nearly the same cost as what it is in America. And so it really allows you to have a nice situation, nice lifestyle. And there's all these different countries that are like that. You just need to do some research and do that. You need to step away from the Instagram, the Twitters, and the wanting to say and saying, telling everybody, look at me, and selfies with, rented gold chains and stuff like that. You got to step away from that stuff. And and then you also start to think about, what you're going to do afterwards. How you're going to engage your time afterwards. For me, it's traveling the world, learning new languages, and playing around with different exotic animals. And now, that's one thing we should talk about now. Like, where am I going now? How has it allowed me? Well, I've just signed. Despite popular belief and for the America bullshit fight media stuff where they keep saying, Bob is no longer popular in Japan, but meanwhile they were doing that. My commercial was #1 in Japan and on every taxi cab in Japan. I was signed at that time with another, it was like a website kind of a group. I don't even remember the name of it because I did so many of it, but that was just recently. So anyway, I have my own line of CBD. And that's for sale in Don Quixote. It's been #1, and so that's going very well. So my contracts have just ended up doing that very well. And now I'm also the spokesperson for. Again, I do like to learn money and do of this stuff. So you're looking at the new spokesperson for Big Boss Financial FX trading platform. Oh, nice. So yeah, so now I'm learning that one. So I'm doing that one. Going back to also what I'm doing, I'm engaging in a what's called Fight Circus, which is definitely something that you just have fun in the comedy side of combat entertainment, of fights entertainment. This is what it is. The athletes are real, the combat is real, and it's also real entertaining. Well, what am I talking about? One thing that we did, we took 2 boxers, we strapped them up around the waist and also strapped their legs so they're like Siamese twins, and we went out there and had them duke it out 4-on-4 at the same time. Comedy-based enjoymentship. Real punches they're throwing, obviously, but you can imagine how hard probably the first 5 were hard, but after that, only one arm.
It's with one arm, yeah.
It's crazy. So there was no knockouts or whatever, but the crowds and fans absolutely love it. We call it Bob Sapp's Fight Circus Scout Tour. We're looking around and so I'm looking for the craziest, most unique style. So I may do some things like there. I'm like, we're going to hold a heavyweight boxing tournament on roller skates. So, so they just come back over there and start hitting, but they got roller skates, so they got to move in there. It's that funny kind of, wow, what the heck, and that kind of funny stuff. So we're doing that, and we're getting all the other fighters to come through and say, hey, I like this. I want to do this on the Fight Scout. I want to do this. I would like to engage in this one. So, and it could even be video game playing. You know what I mean? But guess what? You're not going to play the video games like this. Regular holding a controller, you're going to play it upside down. And it's engaging.
I want to say they started that. They started that already. They had an event, and they had a boxer fighting 2 guys and all this. It was similar to what you're saying. So they've already had one Fight Circus here. And as crazy as it sounds to me to hear you say this, and I'm sure everyone listening is like, what? Come on.
Yes.
They think this is crazy, for sure. The way it sounds. But when they had this event, which also was crazy, it got a lot of big names in the sport saying they were interested and watched it and thought it was interesting.
Yes.
And it's weird that happened because I didn't expect that response.
That's right.
I expected, what are they doing? They're crazy.
Right. Something silly.
What kind of silly shit are they doing? This shit's going to die down.
Right.
But it was not the response that they got.
No.
Maybe by a couple people, but I know for a fact, I can't think of the names, but there were some big names that tweeted or did, that responded to it.
And then brought me over here.
And they were like, and that's why there's money in there now, and people are getting behind it. But it had a good response. This crazy
all these
style
crazy
of
events
fighting.
and all that little crazy.
It's just crazy. Everything, all this stuff is coming around, and it's just like.
And it goes back to what we were discussing. Entertainment style fighting entertainment. What does it consist of? What does it really mean?
It's just innovative and new.
That's right.
So it's like there's pro wrestling and there was fighting, and then now there's kind of this mix, and it's just the new thing. It seems like whether it be untrained or mostly untrained fighters fighting each other, or
that's right,
or fighters that are doing weird things. And
as you've already seen, nobody cares whether they're trained or untrained fighters fighting. When we saw that on the Logan. Paul Logan and the Nate.
Paul and Nate Robinson,
That's right. So nobody really, they just care to be entertained, to get down and dirty to do it. So, I mean, we're throwing all of that stuff, and now we're understanding that, okay, yeah, you guys really want that? So, we don't want to compete with all of this stuff. We want to do our own thing and say, come over here and enjoy and do this stuff as well. And so, no, all this stuff is going to be outstandingly funny or outstandingly will come through. We understand that. So that's when that stuff gets vetoed. You know what I mean? So I'm able to look through and veto that stuff. So you're going to see, I think you're going to see some great stuff on it. We're going to definitely be attempting to do a pay-per-view on it, which is going to be really great. You know, I've got some really great ideas on that, you know what I mean? So that as that gets closer and closer, we'll definitely come back on the show and see how some things are going. So, I mean, it's something fantastic. And one thing that we should talk about for this one, it does, the amount of cash currency that's being paid, it does suit the ridiculousness stuff that you're doing. So, I mean, so I should say this, some of the fight purses that we have for doing the Siamese twin or the dual doppelganger boxing, no matter how we would like to name it, you know, they're getting paid more than with some of these smaller organizations in these other countries, and some of the smaller cards on even UFC is being able to give out the cash. So there is some good substantial money behind it for those that would like to partake. And again, it's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. Make fun, no hate. So just enjoy all of that. You know what I mean? It's meant to be there and enjoy. It's meant to have.
That's what I was going to say. Like I'm as pure of a martial artist as there is. I mean, right. Since I was 8, you know, and straight martial artist and respect and this whole thing like that, right? So I'm as pure as it gets. There's going to be the MMA media and the maybe mainstream media that's going to hate on this aspect of stuff.
Absolutely.
But why, if it's not comparable to MMA and it's not being sold as MMA or it being sold as boxing or being sold as pro wrestling, it's its own thing.
Yes.
Why should it be hated?
Right.
It's its own genre. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
Why can't you be fascinated by it? Because there's a lot of stuff I've seen in Thailand that is very MMA and very unboxing and very Muay Thai.
Right.
But I was fascinated by it.
Yes.
And I took it for what it was. So why not just say
it's interesting? That's right.
And I think that's what's happening.
That's right. And that's
because people are finding it interesting.
That's right.
And they're not caring. But there will be hate because these people are going to be like. And it's going to be people that are in other genres.
Instead of doing that, you should be doing the real boxing. I mean,
but says who? You know,
we don't want to. Right, we don't want to do that.
Why can't you have fun and just go do something?
That's right.
If you're an athlete, so if they like say I was to do something, or say you were to do something, or say any ex-fighter that's not in another organization wanted to do something that was a fighter, why can't he have fun and go do something?
That's right.
Why is that wrong? Why is it wrong for him to go try something new, have fun? And do something crazy.
I agree.
You can go get drunk and get hammered and scream and yell and be on the news and TMZ for this stuff and get away with that. But you can't go and do a legitimate, like, fun, just, you know, crazy
combat, entertainment, and enjoy the living.
So, I see it. Yeah, I understand.
And I want to get all the other retirees, not really the currents that much, unless they really want, because their contract, I don't want them to feel that, oh, yeah, that hurt my contract. So I want to get the retirees to come through. Man, I done got beat up for my whole life doing this stuff, and I actually now can kind of get the juices going. I can actually do it. And you know what? It's never going to be as serious what this is, because we're going to take it serious here. But come on. I mean, that's so many different determining factors and all of that silly stuff like there. So it can be really done. And I'm saying, I like doing it that way as opposed to coming back through. So I'm letting you know, hey, that's the name of the show, right? Fight Circus Scouts. That's the actual
That's a good
term
name
to where we're looking
to
through.
describe it,
Yeah, to where we're actually looking through and running all around with this stuff. Okay, so that's actually what we are doing. So that's what I really enjoy. That. So I'm letting you know that. So I'm not going to bill it as, hey, this is a exhibition boxing match, and no even have any hard punches thrown or something like this. I'm not doing that stuff. It's actually going to be in some of these style of fights that you see, they're more geared towards, I think, the fight circus side, so where they can actually see and enjoy this kind of stuff, as opposed to that side. And it's okay if you want to come. Then if you're commenting on something, then everybody kind of knows that you're not really shim-shamming along that kind of situation. So this is we're in an interesting decade, and we're in interesting times, in particular right now, because with this COVID, everyone is wanting to go for the entertainment stick.
Yeah.
They really want it because they know everybody's locked in at their television, and they want to see what the viewerships can get, what can the viewerships get, who can get it, and all of this stuff. So, I think
we said before, the thing is like for those fight, if it's not damaging other organizations and their integrity, let it be. Let it happen. And I think if you want to get technical, and I'm entertained by this as well, to be honest, and I'm not, I'm not in boxing, but when you have Jake Paul and how he's trying to promote to get the next fight,
I think
and he's doing
great.
drive-by toilet paper, water balloons, and he's, disrespecting the fighters' wives and girlfriends on his Instagram, and the way he's going about doing what he's doing is causing more harm to boxing because he is actually boxing than anything that someone else is doing on the side. But then Ariel Helwani is introducing him to weigh in. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
The most legitimate MMA
purist. The purest guy that was supposed to.
So you have to question.
No, just MMA, the fighting purist.
You have to question, and I'm entertained by what Jake Paul's doing. But he's causing more damage than, say, some of these other things that the journalists are fighting and saying are bad. So you either have to go across the board and just say whatever happens, happens, and if it's entertainment and it sells and the pay-per-view numbers are there, then it's legit,
right? Come out
or
say
not.
It.
But
come out and say it, just like I came out and say it. No, I'm not going to receive for small. I'm not going to receive high damage for a low amount of money. I'm not doing it. I let everybody know that I'm not doing it. Period. I'm not sorry. I'm not doing that. So I'm very honest. And guess what? The organization said, "Cool, no problem. Come on over here," and they still book me. You know what I'm saying? It's good. All the fans know. They know it. Okay, good. Come out there and fight for 10 seconds as hard as you can, because you're going to give us 10 seconds of what you're your own boss. You're able to determine that. Come out and say it. It's fantastic. That's what I think about the Logans, right? They're coming out. Let's throw on toilet paper. They're doing that stuff. They're saying, "Look at me, act silly and do that stuff." You're absolutely right. That's good for. They're being honest and saying, "Look, this is what I'm doing." Now, when we talk about the announcer to whatever, Ariel, that's not what you were doing, though. That's not what you were doing. You were criticizing everybody for doing that stuff.
That's what I'm saying that for.
You.
So if he's the guy we go to find out what's pure and what's not, then why are we seeing him introducing a YouTuber fighting an untrained basketball player in a boxing fight and doing it in a way that is like two legit fighters fighting?
Correct.
So
meanwhile, calling out me when I was.
So who are we supposed to look at as the expert now?
That's right.
Or do we just sit back and enjoy whatever anybody wants to do as long as it's not causing any damage and hurt anybody?
Right. And if that's the case, then the beast has said it all along.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I mean, I'm not going to bullshit. I'm not going to sit. I'm not trying to just take your side because you're here and stuff. I'm being real with how I feel, And I said I'm a purist, and I am. I'm a pure martial artist who's always been by the book on all the martial arts that I've trained and the respect and all that.
I got a friend who
but I've done a lot of things that aren't in the martial arts realm and respectful and it's fun and it's outside of fighting or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like I understand. I'm not going to sit here and try and be fake about it and
that's right. No,
and be self-righteous and say I'm perfect and you're wrong.
My buddy Nick Pettis in Japan. And now he's very successful and does CrossFits and does a lot of Japanese TV shows and does. He's great and they call him the Blue Eye Samurai. He will tell you, man, he's so disciplined and he's massively purist, ready to rock, ready. Then he's like, listen, I will stick to this one here. They know me here, but I can step outside of this genre here, and then he'll say, "Hey, listen, I'm no Nick Pettis. I'm Nick Pettis, blue-eyed samurai over here, but this blue-eyed samurai is smiling. We're having fun. We're doing this. We're enjoying this over here." He's showing everybody this lighter side, and he's expanded his creativity, and he's showing it all. When you talk about martial arts, we're taking that definition and saying martial arts.
Yeah.
Arts being more than one. So he's showing the different artistic ways of ability to show that he happens to be number one or being placed in a position of authority. Like that's why we say martial. Okay. So you know, these are all of this. So this is what is most important. And so when you see this creativity and you can come out and do that, let's understand that that's what they're doing. And I think that all of it happens to be great. But would you absolutely, I do agree when you're saying, well, that's going to damage boxing in itself for that whole, for absolutely what is listen, it's the same thing. I do enjoy the fact that marijuana happens to be legal in the United States. I think that that's great. I think it's great that Mike Tyson has his farm. I think that's great. And I think it's fantastic, okay, because he's not doing anything illegal. And, you know, hats off to him, entrepreneur. Fantastic. Okay, but do I believe that I think that that's the wrong place to do, like before warming up, smoking, just like if you're drinking a 40 before you go in. I don't think that that's the place to do that on that stage, on that platform. Okay, I think you can do that after. I don't think you do that before on that stage, on that platform. And does it matter? In the whole scheme of the whole life, no, it's going to matter in the scheme of life. But in terms of having something that fits some stability, some order, some of the structure, discipline, yes.
What people also have taken into consideration is when you look at traditional martial arts, right? If you hold true to a traditional martial art and compete in traditional martial arts only and stay completely true to just that and take out the entertainment side completely, you can't be an entrepreneur, make money, and be successful, right? So you go back 50 years or whatever the case. The guys that made the money that were traditional martial artists, like your Bruce Lees and your Chuck Norrises, what do they do?
Entertainment.
They went into entertainment.
That's right.
Right. They could sit in their dojos and do martial arts and do it at a fantastic level and teach people their whole lives. And how much money would Bruce Lee have made versus getting into movies?
That's right.
And doing it real? No. Doing it fake in the movies.
I was getting ready to say that.
But I'm saying I'm not comparing it to fighting, but I'm saying pure entertainment. It boosted it and it made martial arts more popular. Yes. But there's a balance.
That's right.
And you're not gonna sell arenas out, and you're not gonna be sensational, and you're not gonna do 1.3 or 4 or whatever million buys by pure martial artists, pure martial arts without any value of entertainment or it factor or sensationalism or something. Mm-hmm. So either way you look at it, it's got to be there, or there's no business model.
I totally agree with you, and that's about, when you're there. Look, if somebody really wants to engage in battle, in combat to whatever, they have something that's called war and all of that stuff, okay? So if you want to, you're there doing that, so you need to, we're over here, we're right in that kind of that mid-level, so you need to be entertaining, you need to bring them over and show them, hey, the discipline of the structure of training, learning, looking, and that goes through what you're going to do before and after you're going to fight, and both for competition and after you're retired from competition. You know what I mean? How come you would think somebody would come up and say, listen, look at these fighters who are outside of fighting that still happen to be successful, that have done it outside of America or around the world. Nobody's really talking about that. You know what I mean? But definitely, like, they'd love to follow me and do this stuff. And I tell them, wait, hold up, I fought 4 times in USA, guys. You're a bit, and then you come through, well, he's taking dives on the, really, what's my contract look like? Who's the promoter that, you know what I'm taking dives? Do you know that? Well, no, because so they don't even know that structure because they're not from, you see what I'm saying? So they don't know that stuff. So I think it's to have somebody to be a voice, to have somebody come out and say, listen, outside of America, you can do it this way. Around the world, you can do this. You can create this stuff. You can use this bubble. Here's how you can deal with, that's what I think that's what, in particularly fighting, I think, needs that. They don't have a single place to go for that. I'm working on some things to also aid with that, just the show that I'm doing there. But at the same time, I'm almost 50 years old, and I do enjoy my retirement out here. So I'm the one to the one to go back and punch the clock and babysit a bunch of adults.
Yeah.
But I don't mind helping and aiding along situations. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is, I think that's what's most important to get these guys going on to understand that stuff. And I like each of those structures because you can be the hardcore purist boxer here and then say, okay, come over here and you can have a little bit of fun on the YouTube section of fun or on the Fight Scout section of the fun. You can do it, and there you guys can do all that stuff. But let's not do that kind of stuff here. Much like when there's kids in the room and stuff like that, we have to watch our language and we have to kind of tone it down, right? When kid or maybe the women's in the room or something like that, we got to tone it down. Or like I love to listen to a lot of hip hop music. Boy, I turn that hip hop music on when my grandma's in the room. Boy, she be what he say? I know, you know what I mean. So you gotta be like, okay, put the 8-track in. You know what I mean? Okay, Papa was a Rolling Stone. You got to start doing that stuff, and keep her. So, you just got to change that for that. But then when you go out with your friends, hey, put that hip hop on.
I forgot until just now you had a music album.
Yes.
I just saw it when you had a little...
Got the
album cover.
Got the little job.
Forgot about that. So let's get back really fast.
Yes.
So now coming back full circle again, and the possibility of you possibly fighting one of these guys with Shaquille or whatever.
One of the greats, one of the GOATs.
How exciting is it going to be for you to come back and fight now under these circumstances and where you're getting a lot of money and you're fighting a celebrity and it's this new thing?
Yes.
And like how is it going to be for you to come considering that you haven't had this opportunity on this level for a while?
Correct.
Because it just now came back kind of thing.
That's right. The big circle.
I mean, the beast is back and
Right.
and then what's it going to be like?
Oh, I tell you, it's going to be great. So this is one thing. When I step in the ring, I have to make you forget all of the bad stuff and make you have nostalgia to remember all of the good stuff.
Right.
So when you look through it, the beast is back. You're going to say, whoa, that is the new beast. So you will see a new body from the beast. You're going to see a new style from the beast, and you're going to be engaged. One thing this time, now that listen, this is everybody knows for each one of those GOATs that we've described, it's the last shot. So if or when these things happen, we've got to take it all in. We're going to be so engaged. You're going to see so much crowd interaction and engagement and people in countries going on. You're going to see different countries saying, I want Shaquille O'Neal to fight. You're going to see this country saying, no, I want Bob Sapp to win. You're going to see all of these. And then it's going to be engaged. Kids engagement. And along with that, as we get a little bit older, we can also give out a little bit more revenue as we're coming in. So I don't like to say the term charity because that's a generic connotative word, and basically somebody says it, and then you go.
They say it, and they don't put any guidelines by it.
Right.
So exactly. Is it 5%? Is it 1%?
And the who, and the what, and all
profits?
Of this stuff.
Are you going to profit?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Are you going to salary everybody out? It's a very, very vague thing to give you credit.
So I don't like to use that. So I just say, but what I will do is something like what I did in Africa before. You will see if it happens to be one of those GOATs, whether it's a Shaquille O'Neal or Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson or Lennox or whomever it happens to be, you'll see those water filters in Africa with them. That will actually be there. That will be our form of giving back. You will see different wherever if there's oil spill, you'll see the cleanup crew wearing our products and saying, well, yeah, and that will be donated and having. You will see them eating some of the foods that we provide for that. That's the stuff of our giving back. And like I said, I don't like to call that charity, okay? We can just call that helping out and giving back. It's the engagement. We bring everybody in to make a real big party. That's the entertainment stuff that I like to do. And that's what I like. And that's one thing that's given me a lot of success around the world, whether I'm winning or losing. So this one, I think you're going to get is a win-win situation on all of this, and especially with the COVID stuff. Everybody in the world is affected by that, and we're going to bring them together, and we're going to have everybody smile. So hey, the biggest joke of MMA, I'm going to make you laugh because we've had a little bit too much crying.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to give you credit for that too, because even though the media didn't pick that up, but you just did it anyway. And it's not like you were trying to, to tell the world, hey, I'm over here doing wells for children in Africa. But you did. You did it. I knew you. But like the media didn't pick it up, and you just did it. So it's not like you were out there trying to do a media stunt and doing anything. And I believe that you know, you're going to do some big things if you get some big paydays with these fights. I want to move in really fast. Aside from all this fighting, it was so fascinating and stuff, but you also were doing crazy shit with animals, and you've been doing it for the last couple of years. Like, so you went into a cage with a bear.
Yes.
And it was like a man versus bear.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
yes, beast versus beast versus bear.
Versus bear.
Yeah. So we had
and y'all broke the fucking cage with the bear inside, so you almost died doing that. Then you decided to like
sumo wrestle
an elephant.
That's right.
And that's legit. Like I saw the video. You're trying to push back an elephant.
Yes, and he got and it was a juvenile elephant, and he
and then what else is going on?
He did get upset.
Yeah,
the elephant did get upset.
But, of course.
Came after me and wanted to
tell me a little bit about those things, and then what else you got? Do you have anything else coming up?
Yes.
Where you're gonna? I don't know.
Yeah, I've got some really good stuff here. So you know, and you know,
because that's entertaining as shit to me too, man.
So I can just give okay. I can just, as much as what I'm able to.
Well, first let's talk about this bear. What started that, and then what happened?
All right. So for the grizzly bear, I was asked to say, hey, listen, Bob, will you do like a tug of war or a push contest versus a grizzly bear? And I said, yes, I can do it. They said, but we want you to really go after this grizzly bear. We want you to push this wall because this bear really loves to be challenged. So he loves that. He'll play, but he really loves it. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. So we went through. And they had this big cage, and it was a glass. It was big plexiglass cage, and it was big. And this door would move back and forth. Okay,
so there was like a thing in the center.
In the center, and you would push
bear
it,
and you
push and push, and then of course if the bear pushes me all the way this way, the bear wins. I push the bear all the way, I win. Okay, so the first time I won, I was like, oh.
And how big was this bear?
The bear was about 420, 500 pounds.
So it had like 100 pounds on you.
Yeah, dude. Oh my goodness. And
it's crazy.
He was an adult, and the bear was absolutely ridiculously big.
Yeah.
And pretty amazing. So, well, he comes through.
So you get in there with the fucking bear.
And so they're just like, oh man, you know, we were in, you know, it's Japan, so they're really creative. They're like, moto, which is more, more what? I'm like, more what? They want more action and excitement. So they come through with a rope of raw meat. Ta-da! They put a rope of raw meat, bloody meat, around my neck. Yeah, okay. So we go.
I remember that now.
So we go through, and I'm pushing this daggone. So I'm like, all right. All the flies are in my face and everything from the meat. So I get down in the 3-point stance because, you know, I always got to do a little football thing. So I shut off and boom, hit the cage. Cage goes back, boom. That bear is like, whoa, you really think you about to mess with me in here, man? I'll tell you what. And he just took, and you could just see that it's almost as if the bear had turned to the Incredible Hulk bear. So, you know, before it's on this, it's kind of doing it like this. You know, that daggone bear, I'll push that door. Doom! That bear said, and all of a sudden I can see those claws. It went on that door, on the cage towards it. And he ripped that door off of that cage quicker than you know what. Woo! Quick. And it got, he coming out, man, and I was just like, oh, man, you got to be, get out of there,
That's the last place you want to be, is in a cage with a bear with no door between you.
So I get out, and they put they had this triple lock system, so they triple locked it. And I was like, ooh, what? And everybody was so shocked. Like it was completely that eerie silence. Okay, so nobody was cheering. Everybody was like, "You okay? You okay?" You know, everybody says checking limbs and all this stuff. So that was the only shooting. Okay, so this was funny. That was supposed to be like a 4-day shoot. After the bear did that, That was it.
Yeah,
They took no more risks at all. They were like, oh, that's it. Finished. We got it. That's enough. We're done. That's it. Bye. Everybody go home. They was like, man, we messing around. We pushing a little bit too much. As a matter of fact, they went over there I walked past a tiger in this cage, and the tiger was like, shh. I'm thinking the tiger's thinking, man, you should have went. If you would have went with me, I would have fucked you up too, Sapp. You better take your ass out of here.
It's hard to beat animals, man.
So that was very crazy. So then the other show in Japan, they were like, listen, you know what? Hey, you did great with the bear. Hey, how about you sumo wrestle the juvenile elephant? So I said, okay, listen, I'll sumo wrestle the elephant. So I was like, all right, I'm ready. Yeah. I'm playing around with him, and I'm just boom. He pushed me down a little bit. I get up. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, I'm really gonna push him. And boom, and I hit him like this. Man, that elephant turned to the side, and it was just like on Jurassic Park. He just looked slowly. He said, like this, ran up. Okay, and I had
That's crazy.
my video person doing the video, holding the video, take off and running. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Everybody's freaking out. I just looked at them. I'm just like, but I knew at the time, I already knew if it comes at me to no run because no eyes in the back of your head. So I know I was like, is that it? And I'm thinking, oh, please. No mess around and kill me. And then, of course, the guy started laughing, and the elephant walks off, and you can see the elephant laughing, like saying, yeah, that's it, man. I already got your ass. I scared the living daylights out of you.
Yeah,
so that was pretty funny. So now, next, I cannot tell exactly what I'm doing, but I will tell you that the next challenges that go through, that we do for science and charity, and I'm not going to say charities, for science and giving back to different communities and people, and basically everybody engaging and having a wonderful time and doing kind of like a Mythbusters scientific study situation. It will take me to the jungles of Africa once again. So I will be engaging with some animals that nobody has, with footage that nobody has seen before or has done before. So and there's a lot, and I'm going to leave this up for your viewers to kind of think about it. But
well, my reaction when you told me.
Yes. So I mean, it's So. Well, we can say they have a number of large animals in Africa, and some of the animals they've got, there's never been MMA performed on a gorilla. There's never been MMA performed on a hippo. There's never been MMA performed on a water buffalo. There's never been. So you're going to see some unique situations over there that are going to go on. That is definitely going to be entertaining. Definitely going to be fun. And, I think we're just going to wait and see how
this is the craziest.
How this thing goes through. So we're going to.
And you're going to do it. That's the worst part about it. Is like when you told me, it's like, I'm like, what the fuck? Are you serious? But it's like, I know you are.
Yes.
Because you do these things. Because I hear about them and then you go do them. And like, so I know you're going to do it.
Yes.
But I'm going to do it. Yes. That's going to be crazy.
Yes. It's going to be nuts. So, and so everybody's going to, and so I'll once I do it, I'm on the way back and everybody comes through, we're going to.
If there's a way back, I mean, like, I'm telling you, man.
If I'm going to. I'm going. How about I turn this upside down 3 times?
This could go very south.
Okay. How about I turn this upside down 3 times? No matter what, I'll be back.
Knock on all the
wood. How
you
doing there, Bob? You're right here now.
Yeah. Yikes, man.
Yeah. So, hey, this is the things. Again, we're talking about today, which is coming full circle, so I will have come full circle that time.
Yeah. Well, in all the things, for sure. And, man, it's been great. Like, it's finally great to have you on the podcast, and it's cool now that it took till now to get this done.
Yes.
Because of all this stuff that's happening.
Yes. Isn't it
we couldn't have talked about this before.
Right. And it's so fitting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because one to be the first, you're the first that brought me on, that now knows all of this stuff, and it's you definitely definitely hit it out the park. I mean, with everything it's like, wow, I got the whole. You got now you know who all the players are in the game,
yeah.
And everybody who's done it, and you've seen it from the scratch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And get them all on here. That would really be interesting if everybody got down here and sat down and we could actually have
A round table.
Ariel, that's right. Have Ariel.
Ariel ain't coming.
Yeah, they would never do it. But, have Ariel, Tyson, have all of us right over here, sit over here.
We do it like a Zoom.
Yeah, that would be
with
great.
Somebody, with some of them. Whoever will say yes, I'll do a Zoom.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
But we know something's going to happen, and
Yes.
I'm looking forward to having you back on now that you're over here now.
Mm-hmm.
Just flight away, and I'm looking forward to having you back on when something gets announced and when and you got a gym to train at while you're here. You know that.
Yes,
So
you'll see me, you'll feel me, and you'll definitely hear me. The beast.
Craziest man in sports. Yeah. Well, anyway, like I said, great to have you on, man. I appreciate. I know you got some of the stuff you got to do. You're always busy doing shoots and business. And
today is a very unusual
you're doing
situation.
all kinds of crazy
We're
stuff.
getting ready to go. Just for the fight circus, we'll see how it goes. But today they're going to see who can. Well, all I can tell you is we're in a strip club to see exactly who can engage within their the prowess of their form of combat entertainment. And I think it has something to do with the hand and the anus.
Well, that's interesting.
That's right. So let's see the slapping contest.
There's some crazy stuff that happens in Thailand.
Contest.
Yeah.
So let's go be the judge.
I was at a Muay Thai fight in Thailand that happened in the red light district here down in Phuket, and we filmed. I don't know if it was you that came down there, Greg, and filmed for that one or not, or if it was before that. But it was we did a podcast. It was a life in Thailand as a Muay Thai fighter, and then we went to the fight.
Yes.
And it happened to be outside of a strip club, and so the strip club served as the locker room, and so all the fighters are getting ready in the strip club and their poles and everything else, and they're getting ready. And then they walk outside the strip club, and then there was just the setup. This is classic Thailand Muay Thai setup outside, and they would fight and then go back in the strip club, and then like before the fight was over, the strippers are coming in because they were like getting ready for their shift and stuff, and it was just like what. And if you go to YouTube to our podcast channel, this exact channel, search Muay Thai Thailand, and you'll see the bonus clip of it, and you will actually see the footage of all this happening.
Hilarious.
And it's just like, but it's like just normal here. You know what I mean? Like this, it wasn't even like a shock.
Yes.
Like we showed up and we're like, okay, it's a strip club. Interesting.
It's okay. You guys are just getting undressed with the strippers.
It's crazy.
I think I'd have a hard time putting on my groin protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the strip club.
Fun fact, they share those here. In the Muay Thai fights, a lot of the small local fights, they share them. You see them passing them back and forth after the fights.
Ooh, wow.
Between the teammates and stuff. That's what I'll say. I'll share a lot of things with the fighter if I have to. And I've grown up in the before the UFC. It was like I was fighting in rodeo arenas and amateur 20-something fights, amateur and backyards and rodeo arenas and all that stuff. So I came up the hard way, before it was cool. But two things I will not share is a mouthpiece and groin protector. Like those two, I would rather have neither one of them before I'd share that with somebody else.
Unfortunately for me, I think I've shared. I mean, the most I've ever shared. So I do the opposite. The most I've ever shared with, because we had to fight, is a mouthpiece and my girlfriend. I mean, can I say that?
Yeah, you can share. You can share whatever you want, man. You can share. Well, let's end on that note. Let's end on that note. But man, Bob, it's great to have you on, and fascinating, man. Like it's fascinating for me to talk to you. Like I said, because I watched you, man, when I was coming up, and you were the biggest thing, and now here we are, and it could be again, and who knows what's going to take on or what's going to happen with these
goats coming out.
These guys challenging you that are all. I mean, all these fights can legitimately happen.
That's right.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm really looking forward to it. So
it's crazy.
We have a phone call tonight actually set in to one to see exactly if this is going to take place. So
definitely come back on and let's talk about it when we get it knocked out and get it all lined up, and we'll do some training while you're here too, and get some footage of that.
Enjoy it.
Show that the beast is back.
That's it.
Intimidate whoever you accepted, who's ever challenge you accepted, because they're all calling you out.
Yes, and then in the meantime, we're going to enjoy it, see how this.
And we're going to enjoy the stuff you're doing here.
Yeah,
in the meantime,
Fight Scouts.
It's a crazy place, man.
That's it.
All right, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks for joining the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Bob the Beast Sapp.